get to it.
It didn't sound like they were counting on them.
Yeah.
You're just supposed to know if you're at a corner, or at a intersection that has a corner, you just can't park there.
No.
How heavily is that gonna be enforced starting off?
Just like they do for the parking in front of fire hydrants.
Right.
That never gets enforced.
Yeah. It's tough. It's hard to enforce every single detail. So, you know.
Part of the problem is, the only time I ever see anybody patrol the neighborhood is on street sweeping day. And I talked to the guy that's supposed to write up the tickets about the fire hydrants.
Mhm.
Because there's always cars parked in front of them, because it's not painted red. So people go, oh, not red, I can park there. And I talked to him, he had no clue as to what I was even talking about, till I went and showed him. And he still didn't write anyway.
Hmm.
So I talked to the captain about this a few months ago, and I haven't seen any improvement.
Mhm. So we'd like to see more parking enforcement around.
The only time it got enforced is when Officer Green came out personally and drove the neighborhood. That was sometime last summer.
Okay. I'll make sure I relate that, increasing parking enforcement.
Just increasing and doing something. Because I see them go up and down all the time on street sweeping day. Cars parked right there where they're not supposed to be. They just keep on going. They don't stop.
Okay.
The guy in the white,
Mhm.
oh, don't have, he's totally lazy.
Mhm.
And the guy with the Jeep too.
The Jeep lady usually will write, I see her writing up.
So luckily
The lady, when she goes down, she gets every single car. I've
Yeah.
seen when I walk my dog, she is getting every single car that's parked there that's not supposed to.
So I'll talk to the parking enforcement supervisor. He's basically in our backyard at the station, and I'll address that.
Any,
I had a question about, what is it, tow trucks. There is one particular tow trucking company, someone who has their vehicle, it's a business vehicle, who likes to park on Ocean Gate. And not only will it be the tow truck, but it will be the trailer as well, so it's taking up a huge spot in between. I had talked to the parking before about getting signage for that. They were supposed to look into it, but it's something that's come up recently. It's happened this week already. He does sometimes put a cone out, so you don't hit it, but if I'm coming out of my street to then make the turn, it's kind of hard because this humongous vehicle is there, and it's in a certain proximity from the corner, so just wanna make sure that.
wait till March 1st and then call them out.
Yeah, I gotta follow up to see if they park legally, if a tow truck can actually.
Well, it's a tow truck and a trailer.
Right.
It's a business vehicle. I don't think that this person resides in our neighborhood.
Oh.
They just utilize our neighborhood as a, hey, I'm gonna.
Oh, I see. Okay. So they don't recite. Do you know what address?
I've seen a,
What address is this?
this is, what's the address of the church? I think it's 134, it might be 13411. It's between 134th Place and 135th Street. 13411 Ocean Gate.
13411 Ocean View.
Ocean Gate.
Is it in front of the church?
It's a little bit, it's like in between, like the whole span of the church.
Okay.
Anything else for Sergeant Mayorga?
Thank you.
Going once?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Going twice?
So,
Has anything been done about the traffic issue down on 34th Place on Thursdays?
For the church. So I went there personally. So I noticed that they have traffic control within themselves. They have people wearing like orange vests. They set up cones. They actually have people walking back and forth. When I went there, they had cars that were waiting to be given food. And they had cars lined up back to back, but there was space in between driveways of residents. And the people that were, this is when I went there, okay? Yeah, so there was one time when one moved forward and they like either move forward all the way to allow a driveway space or move back where you were. I remember seeing that. Now, I know there's another main street, right? But there's no parking on that side. But if they were to move to that side, it was the whole entire, like, the conga line would go all the way right back to the neighborhood, right? You know? So it's kind of, I can see it's convenience, right? I did notice that there's space for vehicles to come in, and I know there's a street sweeping or street cleaning for that day across the street, so there's no parking, so there is space for an emergency vehicle to go through or residents to come in and out. I noticed that. But I don't know how disciplined they are when we're not around, you know? So,
They're not disciplined at all. When I walk my dog, they are around the block on Cienega, and they're blocking everything.
yeah. So obviously, it's a big project that they go through. What do you guys suggest for them to do?
They moved it somewhere else. Look at Hawthorne High. Hawthorne High has moved, charities over there to do food
Mhm.
donations,
Yeah.
food drives.
You know, between 10:30 and at least 12, an emergency vehicle could not get down our street. So if somebody's having a heart attack, they'll probably die before they get down there. And they are blocking driveways. I've taken pictures, I've talked to Lieutenant Giggles quite a few times, I've talked to Deputy Cruz, and he even called me one day and said, hey, I see what you're talking about. He couldn't even get his vehicle down the street. So
No.
they're not monitoring that traffic.
Yeah, so for sure, we're trying to find a way for everybody to win, right? The church is trying to do something for the community. You guys need access and so forth, right? Emergency vehicles need easy access. So we're trying to find a way to kind of see how everybody can win. And you're saying the high school, right? I mean, I can suggest that to the pastor.
Well, how long does it take? We've been trying for 3 months, interfacing with you people, and it's still zero. Nothing's been done.
Right.
So what,
It's,
Couldn't they park their cars on Cienega and just walk down to the church?
I don't know if it can accommodate all those vehicles on La Cienega.
But if they live close by, they could walk there. If they have to drive there, park somewhere and walk.
Right.
Walk up the street.
Right.
Well, I think a lot of that would depend on how much they're getting us, whether or not they can carry it very far.
Right.
Unless they have cars.
And as far as what they can carry and the food that they see, because I remember coming over here and I heard, oh, it's expired stuff. I didn't see any expired stuff. I saw fresh produce, cold being delivered. So as far as that, I didn't see anything kind of like they're giving anything expired, so to speak. Because I did hear that last time I was here. Really? I didn't see that because I picked it up. I looked. Some things were cold still because there were like trucks delivering it in the morning prior to the distribution of the food. As far as that, I didn't see anything. And but I'll make sure I bring it up to Lieutenant Giggles and see what else, how else we can approach this.
well, that street becomes a one-way street between at least 10:15
Right.
to 12. If you're going one way, if you're going east and somebody's coming west, somebody's got to pull in a driver because you can't get two cars right there. And you can't get anything bigger than a pickup between the cars that are on each side of the street parked and the line of cars waiting to get the food. And an emergency vehicle could not get down there at all. That's impossible.
Yeah, I can see a patrol vehicle fitting, but I cannot see like a fire truck fitting. I did ask the pastor if he had a plan, right? Like, what would they do in case we need to get like 5 fire engines inside, right? or 7 patrol cars to come in through there. They said that they have spoken of a plan with the people that are directing the traffic to just shut down their program and just let everybody drive out.
Yeah, but how long is that gonna take for people to do that?
What I noticed when I was there, everybody was parked in their vehicle, were seated in their vehicle with the engine lights on, the trunk open for the food to easily be stored, and then it seems like they can just start driving.
They don't move that fast. I see them sit out there.
They sit, they wait, but I'm talking about in an emergency situation. I did ask that question. I say, what about if there's a fire over here and we need to get the fire engine? He says, well, we already spoke about this. We already told all the guys in the orange vest that, hey, shut down the program and then start directing everybody outside of the residential area.
It's a hassle for the people living on that street, because every Thursday I have something to go to, and I gotta look down the street, see which way I can go to be able to get out.
Right.
So I think, 3 months now, and so far, I've seen nothing change, nothing. Now, that's a little bit.
But we are working on it, sir.
Well, yeah,
And a project like this, something that it deals with, like, it's a community helping the community, a church helping the community. It's a project that it's like kind of like, okay, where are they gonna go? What's their plan B, or where can they go, right? They have to talk to the schools. It's like a whole process.
I would think in 3 months, the way to be able to come up with something,
No.
I mean, that's a little much.
It's just a very inconvenient location where they're doing it.
No, I understand. Yeah.
We might suggest to them a delivery. If they have a route for delivery for those that, that might be a suggestion, not necessarily coming from us, but if you said, have you looked into a delivery type thing where if these are residents that are in the vicinity and if it's causing such, I live down the block east of there, so I'm not as impacted as they are, but I am impacted when I'm trying to leave and make the left-hand turn and the big box truck is into the street. It's hard for me to make a turn, so that is a safety concern. But maybe it can be proposed that maybe you can repurpose these individuals to have a delivery service as opposed to
Traffic directed.
this,
Right. No, I totally understand. I'll make sure, we're still trying to help solve this problem. We know that, my captain knows that, so that's why I went out there.
Well, you're a little slow.
Well,
Progress takes time.
it,
Yeah, really.
I wish it was as easy as, hey, Pastor, you're ordered to move right now. And but
There's people who went down there and complained to him, and all he does is blow them off. He don't care.
yeah. No, I totally understand. I think we have to find a way to, obviously he's doing that for good cause, but we also have to find a way to make sure that your safety is not compromised. Okay? I'll bring it up to the captain that you guys brought it up today. Okay. So I've been in the operations for 3 months, barely, and I learned about this maybe a month and a half, and I already have gone over there, okay, and spoken to the pastor, met the pastor. He actually was welcoming. He walked me inside, so I can check out the place from the inside. So I also saw the inside as well. And I asked him all these questions so I can learn this all, and I brought all the information back.
So didn't they used to do it differently where there weren't any cars lined up and the people just walked in and got whatever they wanted? Why can't you
I
revert
think they
back
did
to
that a long time ago, yeah.
Why can't we-
Now, obviously, like everything is a double-edged sword, right? Now, you have a vehicle which they're contained within their vehicle, but now you have pedestrians lined up on your driveway. I don't know if there'll be trash on the on the sidewalk, people on your grass, things to consider, right? There's always a double edge to things. So I don't know if you guys would prefer for them to have lined up on foot.
Did they have people lined up in the streets way back when?
Not that I recall, Susan.
I thought it was very, from what I saw, very organized.
Is that something you guys will prefer? Have people park wherever they park, and then everybody be on the sidewalk, standing, waiting to be served?
At least they're not blocking traffic. And a pedestrian's easier to move out of the driveway than a car that's blocking it. I mean, it's a thought.
I mean, do you want me to suggest that to the pastor?
It's a thought.
I would have a suggestion, people that need the food make appointments with the pastor of what time they should come in and the window, and not show up at one time.
Like too many cars at once?
Yeah.
Well, they have like
That's
a
an idea.
15-minute window where they show up.
Yeah.
But
Let's
they
say
need to
10:30 to
register with
12.
the pastor to do that time.
You just,
Okay.
you have to make
That will cut down the, but we don't get bothered by it. We live on.
So if you have, if it's in one day and you have 15-minute windows, you're still gonna have continuous.
Right, but if you
What-
have 4 or 5 cars showing up, instead of how many cars you think are there? About 30.
So how would they set up these appointments? By online system? They call somebody?
Technology's there.
Yeah.
it's a thought.
Yeah, no, yeah. Yes, sir.
My thought is, until they come up with a plan that doesn't interfere with the neighborhood, it has to be shut down. Plain and simple. It's like everything else. If you don't have a plan, you're gonna fail. So why are they special? Because they're handing out food? But they're impacting
I
every
know.
single neighborhood, every tax-paying person? That's not right.
I understand.
I mean, we gotta start protecting the taxpayers that live on these streets.
I've got nothing against them handing out the food, that's fine. That's wonderful. But like you said, they need some type of plan. They don't really have one.
Okay, I'll bring it up. I'll meet with him again.
That would be appreciated.
Got it, sir.
All right.
You guys good? All right, guys. Well, thank you for your
Dr.
time.
Noriega.
We probably
Appreciate you
do
guys.
enough.
Thank you.
Get this out of the way there. So we're not going to have county updates tonight straight from the supervisor's office because our deputy for constituent engagement was affected by the fire. So keep her in your prayers. So ours not here tonight. She'll be back in March. The South Bay Area Plan. So the South Bay Area Plan doesn't have an immediate measurable impact on Wiseburn, negative impact. It does, I think some of the zoning changes that affected us have already happened. I'll have a better map coming up in just a sec. This is the Delaware. It's not a well-adjusted map. Well, I'll show you a map of what it talks about. But essentially, the way that it affects us is it's changed from general commercial to mixed-use commercial, and that's already happened, right? That's not part of the South Bay Area Plan. But obviously, the South Bay Area Plan encourages and reflects that change in zoning in their mapping, right? Delaire got surprised, and this is why you may want to pay attention, and I'll forward those messages from Delaire in terms of how they're rallying. Delaire got affected in that many of their properties were rezoned, some to R2s, and I forgot what the other zoning type, but higher density housing. Zoning that encourages developers to perhaps purchase multiple properties, combine them, and then have a higher density, build higher density housing in the area. Mona.
How different is rezoning them as R2 versus where we are, where people are living in ADUs? I'm one of them. I get it.
The ADU, different, similar but different, right? I mean, the it's the incentive to try and build higher density housing by combining lots. That's the biggest one. The R2 I don't think is as big of a deal as the higher, and I forgot what the code is. Maria's looking at me like she has it on the tip of her tongue too. But there's something that a zoning change that allows combining multiple properties, and then for you to be able to have higher density by combining multiple properties. That's what got changed, and that was unfortunately the way that it was presented was not in the most direct way. It was not the version of the plan that we saw that later arose, and so that's why Del Air, rightfully so, is up in arms about it. But if you want to voice your opinion, I'll forward those emails if you have time. I believe it's at 9:30 in the morning on the 28th, on January 28th. Of course, an inconvenient time for most folks. Nonetheless, I'll forward. So if you start seeing some messages that have Del Air and the South Bay area plan, that's the reason that you're getting. I mean, it does indirectly affect us because essentially they're taking their properties and incentivizing developers to, as expensive as housing is today, to be able to build, some of the buildings, like the building that's going up, the test building that's going up on Inglewood and 137th, 138th, 137th, right? That high density 6-story building that I don't have an update where that is in the I haven't checked recently where that is in the approval process, but they've submitted plans for that. So we've written.
Is this plan citywide, Los Angeles?
Unincorporated, no. It has nothing to do with the city. Remember, unincorporated Los Angeles only. So this is very specific pockets. I don't think I have a map. All the unincorporated areas in the South Bay. El Camino Village, the part of Carson that's unincorporated. I forgot what it's called. Dominguez. Dominguez.
Lawsuits against the guy too.
Say that again.
I heard there's a couple of lawsuits against the construction company.
El Camino Village, for now, was able to stop it. They had a big meeting that we attended when was that meeting, Tim and Letty? The El Camino Village meeting. Was that in November? December? They had a big meeting and the developer was there, did not introduce himself as a developer, but we picked him out from the sitting on the sidelines with a big Gucci belt and not dressed down for the meeting. So I believe that if people organize that there could be a lawsuit.
I heard the city of Gardena too.
Say again, by the city of Gardena? Okay. Yeah, send us those links, Greg. I'd like to follow up. All right, who would take that case, right? The difference, I think, the advantage that Gardena has is that they're an incorporated city. I think that the developer feels that we're at a disadvantage not being incorporated, right?
This is exactly something I read in the Daily Breeze back in December.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, we'll look it up. We'll look it up. Can we research that, Tim and Letty, that Gardena, potential lawsuit in Gardena to stop the high density housing against our developer? Just figure out what they did. I think they hired the city of Trinity must have filed. So, yeah.
Andy, if I remember right, it's like right on the border. This side is Gardena, this side is El Camino Village. And that's why they're involved, because it's gonna impact whatever street that is.
Right. So it's.
I think it's Crenshaw.
And that's the city of
I think there's one
Longdale.
in Marine and Western too. Yeah.
It's the Longdale side. There's the Gardenas.
Yeah, so the developer's well advised in terms of the locations to choose, what they can do, and skirting the law. I mean, he's not breaking the law. He's using the current laws, right, to his advantage, right, and to our disadvantage for not having representation, the ability to defend ourselves. Gardena jumped in because they're indirectly affected, or the village jumped in because they're indirectly affected. We'll follow up and see what we can do there. I do believe that he's further along, from us being able to stop it, because we'll have to talk about what we can do. Bob?
So is this plan taking into consideration the increase in water usage where they have a backup? So, okay, so when we get to a route which we're really heading toward now, they're gonna tell us that you need to reduce your water intake, or we're gonna put restrictors on your lines. They don't have any plan?
A lot of this, so this South Bay Area Plan doesn't talk about any kind of environmental studies required. This is advisory in nature, right? It's supposed to be, but some of the things that they're talking about have already happened, right? So this is trying to create a plan for how the unincorporated communities go into the next century, right? That's the idea and of the plan. I wish I had a better summary of the plan. It's a thick document, but it's worth searching. If nothing else, I'll send some links out. Search at least for Wiseburn and Del Air, so you start seeing the flavor that it has. It's not worth. In my opinion, it's not worth reading every single section unless you own properties in those areas. But yes.
So about the parking, is it true that some of these buildings, the high-density buildings, don't have to have any type of parking for the
Yes,
for the residents, because if they're within so many feet of, the public transportation?
The state exemption that they're using.
Horrible.
Yeah, the state exemption that they're using is proximity to mass transit. Proximity for mass transit is very loosely defined as strict mileage distance to a frequently occurring bus, and they change the frequency from, it could be a bus that runs every 15 minutes or half an hour. Some very low frequency bus counts as mass transit, which in Los Angeles doesn't characterize the way that mass transit is used in LA, right? Come up to me.
Doesn't say that. So I've been trying to get the county to tell me, especially with the building on 137 Place in Inglewood, since there's no parking, because you're saying you're going to allow this waiver, what waiver is it? I've gone back and forth, and it's a word game, it's this, that. They don't tell you. They won't address it. I said, tell me what section. Tell me what state code. Tell me what Senate bill. What was it? What is the waiver exactly by number, by verbiage? And I've asked just that way. I get nothing. I get this diatribe of stuff, and it does not tell me why they are getting that waiver. It doesn't tell you. And there are rules with transportation on what type of bus lines, how busy they are, where they're going to be. Inglewood doesn't have a busy bus line, right? But there might be an interpretation that says it might be within a certain distance. Okay, if that's it, show me that. Show me that, right, but not Inglewood. Inglewood has like a part, and I went on MTA's website. I looked. It has like a part-time bus line at best, right? At best. So when you look at that, and you have to know what they're applying. That's the key, right? What exactly are you applying? When El Camino Village went up against the beast, they had the state and the county sitting there pointing fingers at each other, just pointing fingers. It was a show. So when you, at the end of the day, the state is saying, hey, we do give them guidelines, but we leave it up to the county or municipalities how they enforce it. We don't tell them how to enforce it. So when I asked the planner, the county planner, our employee who's working to protect us, right? What is it that you're waiving? I don't get an answer. And I don't get an answer from her boss because I include him on all my emails. Nothing. It's like talking to a wall. I get stuff back, but they never answer the question. Never do. And it's close to being fully permitted if it's not already.
So the people giving the permits.
That's a planner. They're okaying it.
Yeah.
And if you look on the public site, because you can look this stuff up online, and you look at all their permits and permitting process and where they're at, I mean, it's pretty intricate, except there's no waivers on it.
Where are the waivers? I never found them. Maybe I didn't see them, but I asked. Right? All the permitting, all the steps are on there. It's a very documented process, looks good, but where is it for that? You know, I'm a simple guy. I don't know, I'm stupid. So tell me, I'm good. You know, tell me. You're the planner, you're my county planner. Help me out understand this.
Yeah.
And it's hard.
One of the things, and Harley and Bill aren't here tonight, one of the things that we've discussed is, at least, you know, if we take a look at what Gardena and El Camino Village does, at least getting somebody to explore pro bono, we don't have the funds for this, right? Pro bono, what would it look like to try and fight the county? Because the exemptions for parking, for school impacts, right? For pedestrian safety, you know, none of this has been, you know, planning has not acted in a consulting advisory role. They're rubber stamping based on state law. They're like, yep, check, 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 exempt, 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 right? So there's no urban planning that's gone into this whatsoever. So one of the things that we're talking about is, would somebody explore, right, pro bono, what it would take to fight this? I don't know. I don't have an answer for that right now, or an opinion.
So,
Bob?
out of curiosity, do the cities get money for doing these projects?
Oh, Bob, that's a I don't know. I don't know if the incorporated cities. So our developer is using state law to get around environmental and parking and all these exemptions that are granted with high density housing because there's such a housing need. I don't know if there's kickbacks. There's lobbying involved for sure. I mean, there's lobbying and lawyers involved. I don't know who's making money on the back end. Maria?
The density bonus law is what allows for on top of whatever the base level of, stories there are, if they have a certain number of, I think it's low income.
Oh,
Then the density bonus law is what's invoked, and that allows for, I don't know if it was 3 stories or 4 stories more. The only reason I know this information is because we have a family member who's formerly in Redondo Beach in the planning commission, and is also a lawyer, and has some information, and so when I was asking him about this, he said that the density bonus law was the main thing. The density bonus law is what allows.
That's a huge part of it, correct?
Yes. But
And how do you interpret that?
but when I watched the meeting regarding the parking, it was interesting because they had done studies in other parts of the country that aren't as dense as populated as here, and then we're giving examples of a building that they built with like 10 units or 20 units in Lenox, saying like, oh, it's gonna work, it has this X number of parking, people aren't gonna wanna build something if it doesn't have parking, there's not gonna be funding for it, and trying to sell that they were eliminating the minimum parking requirement. And so I watched that during COVID, and that was quite some time
Well,
ago.
what they did in Lennox, it was at like 101st and Lennox, right? Almost at Century Boulevard. And if people who drive up Inglewood Avenue there's not probably a time that parking isn't offered longer. They approved 2 projects of these right across the street from one another, directly across the street, no parking. No on-site parking, there's no parking already. So, yes, that's what they do.
So for us, really quick before we change topics, for us, the edges, right? El Segundo and Inglewood are the mixed use zoning. And the test building is right here on 137th, right? That vacant lot there is where that building is going to go up. Del Air had a different set right, this is how they were affected, right? The areas in orange, I can't quite make out, but obviously the areas in orange are in north of Del Air are the ones that they're fighting for the upzoning in density, right?
Aren't those more industrial buildings there?
No,
So, no, not necessarily. Perhaps they're at some of the periphery, right, there and there, but not necessarily. It's suburbia. It is.
Yeah, it's all residential.
It's all
What's
residential.
really good about this, because between the two projects, this one and the other one, they're gonna try to crack the schools.
Yeah, there's no, the schools found out at the same time that we found out, and I know that they sent a letter, they complained about it, that they weren't taken into consideration at all, but that's part of the exemption, right? That's part of the exemption, unfortunately. Yeah, we don't know how, the truth is, it's unknown, how it affects. Really quick, just so that we end at the top of the hour, there's a website, and I'll send this presentation out via email. You don't need to write anything down, but the groundbreaking is finally happened on the Aviation Sports Complex. So the Measure EE funds are being utilized for this. It's with the Division of State Architects right now. Once the groundbreaking happens, I believe March 25th, I'll confirm the date. We'll have Dr. Silvers come and talk to us at the March meeting to give an update and a better rendition. These were the other renditions of the sports complex that are up there now. They'll have better approved renditions of what it's actually going to look like with the company. Turf, yeah. This is on. So that's on the. This is right next to Dana, to Wiseburn Middle School right now. That's where the main entrance will be. This is 135th. So again, this is the edge of Dana, 135th, and that's Aviation. That's facing Aviation.
So the parking will be the existing parking that's
The
there?
parking will be existing parking, and there will be a parking lot. I believe you can't make it out, but I think there's additional parking back there as well. And I believe that SLC building is going to be moved as well. The Success Learning Center. So that project will take under a year. So just under a year to complete. I mean, it doesn't sound like it's a lot, but the longest process is actually the Division of State Architects, which regulates all school building construction. Yeah. There are other, I mean, this is what I thought would be of interest to the folks here. The Measure EE funds have also built a soccer field at Da Vinci, which is going to alleviate pressure from the high schoolers using the elementary school field here, and at Delaware Elementary, the former ANZA. So that's huge. It's a competition level soccer field. So this will be used by the elementary schools and not by the high school for the majority. And this can be split as well into, that's in its full size. It can be split into smaller U12 size soccer fields, as well as the softball and baseball fields up there. But everything that Measure EE has done and is doing, the list of active projects is on the website, including retrofitting some of the TK classrooms here at Hollyglen, modernization for the roofing at Aviation Elementary. You saw the solar roofs on some of the parking lots that we got. Those will, after I think 24 months, will pay for themselves, and they'll be net flow positive for the district as well, because of a certain, there's a change in the way that the solar program worked in the state of California, and we got it under the deadline, which was good. So take a look at that website. We'll send it out. We'll send this deck out in a PDF format, and you'll be able to click on the link. If you do a search for Measure EE updates on Google, it's the top link that shows up. Finances. I don't know. Without glasses, I can't see this. But this is we started January with an ending balance of $220. We're very thankful and very grateful that we get donations. Both you see some donations from something called Blackbaud Giving Fund. These are banks, that as part of the charitable giving program, they send money to a central entity that distributes on behalf of the bank to nonprofits, right? And we just get a monthly check of $30 between $30 and $50 every month from the Black Bog Fund. It's usually City National Bank. Sometimes it's First National Bank that sends it. So those are the $30, $27. Pretty consistently we get them on a monthly basis, just for being registered for a nonprofit. They look at our mission statement, they see that we meet the criteria for donation, and on behalf of the bank, right? It's a way for them to show that they're giving back to the community, right? Obviously, you'll see I didn't anonymize some of the last names. My apologies if you didn't want your name showing up on there. But thank you very much for those that always send contributions. This is our money. Where does our money go? Our money goes to our two main events, right? National Night Out and the Santa Parade. Those are our two biggest expenses. Insurance for this costs about $50 per meeting. National Night Out because it has a larger crowd, maybe it's about $150 per event. And that's it. I don't even think that over the last year or two we've submitted reimbursements just because we don't want the accounting for coffee and for pizza, and we just donate that, you know. But you know, that's where your money goes to. Harley's very good at accounting for everything that she spends for National Night Out and for the Santa Parade. We still have a room full of donated things, right? No, how much is left?
We have a few, it's more clothing and baby items. Because we did donate to schools.
Great. We got a donation from Universal, 2 pallet pools. Tim and I went to Ontario? Where was that? Chino? Yeah, somewhere. Chino or Ontario in a borrowed truck to go pick up 2 pallets of toys and donations from Universal Pictures. Some of it was cool stuff that we give out at the National Night Out, at the Santa Parade.
Where are places to give donations? Red Cross or whatever? What kind of donations? Clothes and stuff like that?
Well, I don't know. We kind of try to keep it community oriented within our circuit. So,
The school got some as well, right?
school got a lot of money.
Yeah.
All kid oriented. So we figured, and the premise was, they know the needy families, we don't need to know that, and we entrusted it to them to make sure that they get what they need.
Sorry, does anybody have any questions on any of the line items? And this is divided in 2. This is the first half, and this is the second half of the year. Insurance for National Night Out. We were going to run a deficit because our biggest expense was the chairs. We always rent chairs from the same company, a local company. I issued a loan and I paid myself back in January of this year, so we wouldn't bounce a check. The ice cream truck, we subsidized the ice cream truck for $300 for Burita to give the same lady that goes to school. You'll recognize her if you see her. To give $300 worth of ice cream to the kids during the National Night Out event. What else? Santa Parade lights from Amazon. I think those were our biggest expenses. And then you see the monthly checks come in. When you don't see them come in a month, it's because I forgot to deposit them or we didn't check the mailbox, the P.O. box. We ended the year with $334. This year we're expecting either $2,500 or $30,000 from the Holly Mitchell's office, the 2nd District. They had a fund to fund community-based organizations. So we applied. We'll see. We don't know how much we'll get. Hopefully that'll arrive before National Night Out. Then we'll subsidize some of the National Night Out, and we'll have to do less begging of you folks to help subsidize it. So we'll post this online as well, just a PDF of it for it to be online. Questions?
We didn't get any money this year from Holly Mitchell. I thought Arnie said we were gonna get $1,000.
We applied last year, but we haven't gotten it. We applied late last year. We didn't get last year. We got it in 2022, but we didn't get last year. We applied late last year. So So no, we didn't get it last year, we applied last year. $2,500, $3,000 is what should be reflected, hopefully over the next couple of months. Next time, so our next meeting, I don't think I had anything else on open forum. Anybody have any questions? Our next meeting is on March 19th. That'll be a few days before the inauguration of the sports complex. So we'll have Dr. Silvers come in and talk to us about what's going on and give the updates on Measure E and the sports complex and the timelines for that. Any questions or any open forum items? Bob.
We came up earlier about the slow down signs and how you have to keep repairing them and everything. In the community, Wiseburn community, it's those. I know this has been brought up, but over across the other side of Inglewood, they have them. Maybe a different community.
If we can, I think the best is to cite evidence for where it exists in similar locations to try and get a study going. Maria's initiated studies for stop signs. She has a contact. She could help us.
I will say that the last time that I requested a study, it was not done at the intersection that I requested on 134th Place, right by the church, because I wanted a crosswalk there. But it was done at 134th Street, and as a result, they did put in an additional stop sign. So,
Good to start.
so I can provide you with whatever contact I have back then. I don't know if it's the same person because they were rotating staff like every 9 months. But there is a process. So I tried to go through that process on 134th Place. It took about 4 years. The first time they said, okay, it warrants us putting a sign for the speed limit and drawing the speed limit on the street. And when that didn't work, and we had 3 consecutive, 3 months where we had 3 car accidents at that intersection, at Shoup and at Shoup and 134th Place, they said, okay, now you need the warrants to get a stop sign. At the time, all those kids that I was worried about are now teenagers, older teenagers. So,
The ones running the stop signs on the e-bikes, right? Yeah.
But I think you can put in speed bumps like they have over there.
So Bob, it's a process. I'm not disagreeing with you. It's just that we need to start the process. I mean, let's take pictures of where they exist today.
so keep focus on one street at a time. So get somebody for wherever locations, and have that person persistently contact them, because they'll take it and it might be time that goes by, and it takes 6 months, 8 months.
Sounds like a good project for him, Val. We'll talk. Bob, if you want help, there's no other way. There's no other way. The Vision Zero signs, those are all requested by Public Works. The Works app, you report it down, they'll come and fix it within 4 or 5 days. If you want a new one, they'll come and install a new one. If you guys have suggested for where those slow down signs, they're easy to knock down. Sometimes, I know there's at least one of the neighbors that tears it down. I know him well, that tears it down. It's upset and doesn't have much to do these days, and so he goes and tears down the sign. I still issue a ticket, every month to get it repaired. It's persistence. There's no other way around it. Public Works is being very diligent, especially with the rains and with the fires, for repairing potholes. If you see potholes, 4 or 5 days later, they'll come and fill in the potholes. I'm not sure that it's very permanent repair, but at least the potholes will be gone. So report. The squeaky wheel gets the oil. So use that Works app, call Public Works, email Public Works if you need to, if you're not familiar with using the Works app. That's the best way to say what's wrong in the community.
The other place that really works is the Caltrans online.
Yes, the Caltrans CSR ticket.
They will answer our stuff because they don't care.
Yeah. So Caltrans has an email ticketing system, and they'll generate it sounds like it's old-fashioned with the form that you fill out, but they do eventually reply. That's how we get taken care of the graffiti on the on-ramp. They come on it. It's a little slow, but they'll come on it. They'll answer the tickets, and if they get more than one ticket, they're like, oh, this community is going to keep on bugging us until we do something about it. So.
Reporting the safety issues because of all the kids walking to school.
Mhm.
And if you put safety in any of your word safety in any
Yeah, that's true. When the door,
Kids walking is a safety issue.
yeah, when the doors get broken, the on-ramp doors get broken in by the homeless, I'll open up a ticket first, and then I'll call 911 and say that there's children going to walk onto the freeway if you don't come and fix it. And they'll eventually send somebody.
It's a safety issue with kids, and they'll come fix it.
Yeah,
But you gotta put the ticket in or it's done.
yeah, yep,
They don't control the weight of the ticket.
yep, that's true. All right. Very well. Thank you very much, everybody. Happy 2025. Good to see everyone. Thank you.